Your employer is running the exact same scam on your wallet. That cardio is running on your metabolism. And no, I'm not being dramatic. I'm going to show you the math that proves your $30 per hour job is actually paying you about $4 when you account for total capital depreciation. Here's the bridge most people never see. When you spend 8 hours at a desk, you're not just trading time for money. You're trading muscle tissue, metabolic capacity, and decades of your lifespan. Your body is a depreciating asset, and your job is a high-interest debt slowly bankrupting it. Today, I'm going to give you the total capital equation, a formula that calculates your real hourly wage by factoring in both financial gains and physical losses. This is a math they don't teach you in business school or in the gym. My name is Godwin, and I spend way too much time thinking about the intersection of human capital depreciation and financial accumulation. If you're someone who is tired of building a bank account while your health depreciates, or vice versa, grinding in the gym while your portfolio stays anemic, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Let me tell you about Marcus. I met him at a financial planning seminar about 3 years ago. On paper, Marcus was crushing it. Senior software engineer at a major tech company. $140,000 a year. Max out 401k. Six-figure investment portfolio. The guy had read every book on compound interest, understood dollar cost averaging, and could explain the Sharpe ratio to a 5-year-old. But here's what most people don't realize. When I saw Marcus, I saw a man who was physically bankrupt. 230 pounds at 5'10", most of it visceral fat, pre-diabetic, chronic back pain from sitting 12 hours a day. He couldn't climb 2 flights of stairs without getting winded. His net worth was approaching $500,000. His net health was approaching zero. And this is where it gets really interesting, because Marcus thought he was winning. Look, I'm going to draw something on the whiteboard here. 2 columns. On the left, we have traditional hourly wage. On the right, we have true hourly wage. Under traditional, we write what most people calculate. Gross income divided by hours worked. So if you make $60,000 a year and work 2,000 hours, that's $30 per hour. Simple math. Everybody understands this. But now, let me add some line items to the right column that are going to make you uncomfortable. First line item, commute time and cost. The average American spends about 4.5 hours per week commuting, according to the Census Bureau's American Community Survey. That's over 200 hours per year of unpaid labor. We're also burning gas, putting miles on a depreciating vehicle. Let's be conservative and say this costs you $3,000 annually in direct expenses plus the opportunity cost of that time. Your $30 hour just dropped. Second line item, work-related expenses. The clothes you buy because you can't wear gym shorts to the office. The lunches you buy because you're too exhausted to meal prep. The drinks after work because you need to decompress. The LinkedIn premium subscription. The professional development courses. Studies from the Bureau of Labor Statistics show the average worker spend about $5,000 per year on work-related expenses they wouldn't otherwise have. Your hourly wage drops again. But here's where the real scam happens, and I'm going to draw this in red on the whiteboard. Third line item, human capital depreciation. This is the one nobody talks about because it's invisible in the moment but catastrophic over time. Now you might be thinking, Godwin, what does human capital depreciation even mean? Let me break it down. Your body is an asset. Specifically, it's the most important asset you'll ever own because it's the machine that generates all your other assets. When you sit at a desk for 8 to 10 hours a day, you're not in a neutral state. You're in a state of active physical decline. According to a study published in the Annals of Internal Medicine, sitting for prolonged periods is associated with a 15% increased risk of early death even if you exercise regularly. Let that sink in. Even if you hit the gym, the sitting is still killing you, just slightly slower. Here's the math that's going to keep you up tonight. I'm drawing a graph now showing muscle mass over time. The average sedentary office worker loses about 3 to 8% of their muscle mass per decade after age 30. This is called sarcopenia, and it's the metabolic equivalent of inflation eating away at your portfolio while you sleep. But here's the kicker. Every kilogram of muscle burns about 13 calories per day at rest. Lose 5 kilograms of muscle over a decade of desk work, and you reduce your basal metabolic rate by about 65 calories daily. That's a 6 to 7 pound fat gain per year just from a metabolic downgrade, assuming you eat the same amount. So let's do the total capital calculation for a typical office worker. I'm writing this on the whiteboard as we go. We start with $60,000 salary. We subtract $3,000 for commute costs. We subtract $5,000 for work expenses. That leaves us with $52,000 in actual financial gain. But now we need to calculate the physical depreciation. According to research published in The Lancet, physical inactivity costs the global economy about $67 billion annually in healthcare expenses and lost productivity. On an individual level, studies from the Journal of the American Heart Association suggest that poor cardiovascular health costs the average person about $4,700 more per year in medical expenses compared to those in good cardiovascular health. But that's just the direct cost. What about the indirect costs? Let me think about how to explain this clearly. Your body operates on what I call a metabolic return on investment. When you have more muscle mass, you have better insulin sensitivity, higher metabolic rate, better hormonal profile, improved cognitive function, and greater capacity for work. A study in the Journal of Applied Physiology found that resistance-trained individuals have up to 40% better insulin sensitivity than sedentary individuals. This translates directly to longevity and reduced healthcare costs. I'm going to draw another chart here, showing the lifetime earnings differential. According to research from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, healthy individuals earn approximately 25% more over their lifetime than those with chronic health conditions. If we apply that to a 40-year career with average earnings, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost earnings from health depreciation. So, let's get conservative with our numbers. For our hypothetical $30 per hour worker, let's assign a physical depreciation cost of $15 per hour based on future healthcare expenses, lost earnings from reduced energy and cognitive function, and shortened lifespan, reducing total earning years. I'm writing this on the whiteboard now. $52,000 in adjusted financial earnings minus about $30,000 in annualized human capital depreciation equals $22,000 in real annual compensation. Divide that by the actual hours invested, including commute and unpaid overtime. Let's call it 2,500 hours, and you're looking at about $8.80 per hour. And honestly, I'm being generous. Factor in the opportunity cost of not building physical capital during those hours, not accumulating what I call strength assets, and you're closer to $4. Here's the thing. This isn't just about money. This is about understanding that you have two portfolios that need to compound simultaneously. Your financial portfolio and your physical portfolio. And just like you would put all your money in a savings account earning 0.5% while inflation runs at 3%, you shouldn't put all your time into financial earning while your physical capital depreciates at 5 to 10% annually. Let me introduce you to the concept I call progressive overload of income. In the gym, progressive overload means gradually increasing the stress placed on your body to force adaptation and growth. You add weight to the bar. You add reps. You add sets. Your body adapts by building more muscle. This is the only way to achieve hypertrophy. Now you might be thinking, okay, Godwin, but what does that have to do with money? Everything. The average employee gets a 3% annual raise. Inflation averages about 3%. That means most people have zero progressive overload on their income. They're doing the same workout with the same weight year after year and wondering why they're not getting stronger. Meanwhile, their physical portfolio is running a deficit. They're not progressively overloading their bodies either. They're sitting more, moving less, eating worse because they're tired and stressed. They're in what I call a dual depreciation spiral, where both portfolios are declining simultaneously. Let me tell you how Marcus turned it around, because his story has a second chapter. After our conversation at that seminar, Marcus started tracking what I call his total capital statement. Every week, he'd calculate not just his financial gains, but his physical gains and losses. He started treating his body like an investment account. He'd ask himself, what's my ROI on this meal? What's my ROI on this workout? What's my ROI on this extra hour of work versus this hour of recovery? He negotiated a remote work arrangement, immediately saving 10 hours per week of commute time. He reinvested 5 of those hours into training and meal prep. Within 8 months, he lost 40 pounds, added 15 pounds of muscle, and his energy levels transformed his work performance so dramatically that he got promoted. His income went up 15%, while his work hours actually decreased. His total capital, financial plus physical, increased by something like 40% in under a year. I'm drawing a new diagram now showing what I call the total capital flywheel. On one side, you have financial capital generating returns. On the other side, you have physical capital generating returns. But here's what most people miss. These two wheels are connected by a chain called energy and cognitive function. When your physical capital is high, you have more energy, better focus, improved decision-making, and greater stress tolerance. This directly improves your ability to earn and invest. When your financial capital is high, you can afford better food, better training equipment, better recovery tools, and more time freedom to invest in your body. The two portfolios compound each other. Here's a shocking statistic that should reframe how you think about this. A study published in the Journal of Labor Economics found that employees who exercise regularly earn about 9% more than their sedentary counterparts. 9%. If you're making $60,000, that's $5,400 per year you're leaving on the table by not training. Over a 40-year career, compounded at 7%, that 9% earnings differential results in over $500,000 in additional wealth. But let's flip around. According to research from the CDC, obese workers cost employers about $2,741 more per year in medical costs and absenteeism than workers of normal weight. Companies know this. They're not consciously discriminating, but the data shows that physical capital directly translates to economic value in the labor market. Now here's where I want to challenge an assumption. You probably heard that you should save money before spending it. Pay yourself first, right? That's basic personal finance. But here's what most people don't realize. Saving money while your body deteriorates is like putting cash in a safety deposit box while your house burns down. What good is a retirement account if you're too sick to enjoy retirement? What good is financial independence if you're physically dependent on medications and medical interventions? The average American spends over $300,000 on healthcare in their lifetime. According to a study from JAMA, about 80% of that comes in the last 20 years of life. But here's the thing. Most of those costs are driven by preventable lifestyle diseases. Type 2 diabetes, heart disease, many cancers. These are largely diseases of physical bankruptcy, conditions that develop when you've been deficit spending on your body for decades. I want to give you a practical framework now. I'm calling it the total capital allocation strategy. On the whiteboard, I'm drawing a pie chart. Here's how I suggest allocating your waking hours to optimize total capital returns. 40% to high-value work. This is work that builds skills, reputation, and income, not busy work. Not answering emails that could wait. Deep work that moves a needle. If you can't honestly say that your work hours are generating real returns, you need to negotiate, delegate, or find new work. 20% to physical capital investment. This means training, meal prep, recovery, and sleep optimization. For a 16-hour waking day, that's about 3 hours. Sounds like a lot, right? It's less than what most people spend scrolling social media. According to Statista, the average American spends over 2 hours per day on social media alone. You're already spending the time. You're just investing it in the wrong asset class. 20% to financial capital management. This includes not just investing, but also skill development that increases your earning potential. Learning high-income skills. Building side income streams. Creating assets that generate returns while you sleep. And 20% to recovery and relationships. Because burnout is a guaranteed negative return on investment. Relationships are the social capital that supports both financial and physical goals. Now, you might be thinking, this sounds great, Godwin, but I'm already exhausted. I don't have time for this. Look, I understand. That's exactly what the work scam wants you to think. When you're depleted, you don't have the energy to question the system. You just keep trading hours for dollars while your body writes checks it can't cash. But here's the math on recovery. A study in the Journal of Sleep Research found that sleeping less than 7 hours per night is associated with a 20% reduction in problem-solving ability and a 33% reduction in creativity. If your job requires thinking and whose doesn't, sleep deprivation is cutting your cognitive output by a quarter or more. You're literally becoming less valuable per hour by not investing in recovery. Let me give you the actionable framework now. I call it the Portfolio plus Physique checklist. Item 1. Calculate your true hourly wage. Take your annual income. Subtract work-related expenses. Add in commute time to your work hours and divide. Most people are shocked by how low this number actually is. Item 2. Estimate your physical depreciation rate. Track your body composition, strength levels, and energy. If you're getting weaker, fatter, and more tired each year, you're running a physical deficit. Assign a dollar value to this depreciation based on future healthcare costs and lost earnings. Item 3. Identify your highest ROI physical investments. For most people, this means resistance training for muscle preservation, walking for metabolic health, and sleep optimization for recovery. These have the highest returns with the lowest time investment. Item 4. Negotiate for time freedom. Remote work, flexible hours, compressed work weeks. Every hour you save on commute and useless meetings is an hour you can reinvest in physical capital. Item 5. Track both portfolios monthly. Just like you check your investment accounts. Check your body composition. Step on a scale. Measure your waist. Track your lifts. What gets measured gets managed. Here's the reality check I want to leave you with. You are playing a game with two scoreboards. Everyone sees a financial scoreboard because that's what society tracks. Net worth, income, assets. But there's a second scoreboard that determines whether you get to enjoy any of the financial wins. That's your physical scoreboard. Energy levels, strength, mobility, absence of chronic disease. The tragedy I see over and over is people who win on the financial scoreboard but lose catastrophically on the physical one. They build an empire, but they're not healthy enough to enjoy it. They retire early, but spend their retirement in doctors' offices. They achieve financial independence, but they're physically dependent on medications just to get through the day. Don't be Marcus at 42, with $500,000 in the bank, but 230 pounds of accumulated debt on your skeleton. Be Marcus at 43, who understood that the $30 hour was a lie and rebuilt his total capital statement from the ground up. The work scam persists because it's invisible. You see the paycheck. You don't see the muscle atrophy. You see the promotion. You don't see the arterial plaque. You see the retirement account growing. You don't see your metabolic rate declining. But now you have the formula. Now you can run the math. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Your real hourly wage isn't what's on your paycheck. It's what's left when you account for everything you're losing to earn it. And right now, for most of you, that number is a lot closer to $4.30. The question is, what are you going to do about it? My name is Godwin. If this changed how you think about work, money, and your body, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment telling me your true hourly wage once you run the calculation. And I'll see you in the next one where we're going to talk about why your gym membership has a higher ROI than your 401k. And no, I'm not exaggerating. Take care of your total capital out there.